Magnitude 5.4 earthquake just shook the Albay Province in the Philippines. In the same skyline where Mayon Volcano has been erupting for 152 consecutive days. The footage is striking. The shaking was captured live on a Mayon Volcano live stream, and during the shaking, a bright flash appeared above the crater. But the earthquake is not the headline. The earthquake is the test. The headline is what Mayon was already doing before the ground moved. In the past 24 hours, PHIVOLCS recorded 14 volcanic earthquakes, 210 rockfalls, 2 pyroclastic density currents along the slopes, sulfur dioxide emissions of 1,754 tons per day, a plume rising 500 meters above the crater. Lava is still flowing down the Mi-isi gully on the southwest flank. 124 barangays across Albay are already affected. More than 287,000 people are sheltering across the Philippines. The alert level has been at 3 for 152 consecutive days. It is no longer a question of whether Mayon is dangerous. It has been dangerous for 5 consecutive months. The question is what a tectonic earthquake, separate from the volcano, reveals about a system that is already under stress. This is the volcano that destroyed Cagsawa in 1814, killing more than 1,200 people, most of them inside the church. The only structure that remained standing was the belfry. Today, 212 years later, lava is moving down the same flank where Cagsawa once stood. It is no longer the same Mayon. It is the same volcano in a worse condition. But here is the detail that tells the real story. PHIVOLCS, the Department of Science and Technology's Philippine Institute of Volcanology, and Seismology has been monitoring Mayon since 1952. They operate a 24-hour observatory at the foot of the volcano. They have tilt meters, they have gas spectrometers, they have thermal cameras, they have the AfarTV live stream itself, the same live stream that captured the earthquake last night. They have issued daily bulletins for 152 consecutive days. They have called every PDC. They have called every rockfall. They have called every SO2 spike. And on the night of the earthquake, they issued one of the shortest clarifications in the bulletin record. The earthquake is tectonic in origin, and Mayon remains at alert level 3. The families in Camalig watching the lava advance down Mi-isi for the 152nd consecutive day. The teachers in Daraga checking ash forecasts before the morning bell. The fisherfolk along the Albay Gulf reading the SO2 plume direction. The pilots over Manila and Legazpi reading the volcanic ash advisories before takeoff. The camera operator at AfarTV, who was already pointing the lens at the crater when the earthquake hit, and who watched the flash appear on a screen everyone else was watching too. They have all been watching the same volcano for 152 consecutive days. For 5 consecutive months, Mayon has been producing lava. Alert level 3 has been the standing diagnosis. The pattern has held. The question now is whether the magnitude 5.4 ground motion of June 5th changes the trajectory, or whether it only exposes how fragile the trajectory already was. This is how it happened. Mayon has been in continuous effusive eruption since January 5th, 2026. For 152 days, the volcano has been producing lava. The Mi-isi gully has been the dominant flow path. Strombolian activity has been recorded almost every night at the summit. Rockfalls have been counted by the hundreds. PDCs have been recorded by the dozens. The alert level has been at 3 the entire time. On the morning of June 5th, PHIVOLCS issued its routine daily bulletin: 14 volcanic earthquakes, 210 rockfalls, 2 pyroclastic density currents along the gullies, sulfur dioxide emissions at 1,754 tons per day, plume rising 500 meters above the crater, a visible crater glow, by any measure, a high activity day. By the standards of the past 5 months, another high activity day. Then, in the evening, the ground moved. Magnitude 5.4 earthquake struck near the Albay Province. The AfarTV livestream, pointing at Mayon's summit, captured the shaking in real time. During the shaking, a bright flash appeared above the crater. The video spread across Filipino social media within minutes. Within hours, PHIVOLCS issued a clarification. The earthquake was tectonic in origin, not volcanic. Alert level 3 was not raised. The lava was still flowing. The rockfalls were still cascading, and the volcano has not stopped. What the earthquake did not do was start the eruption. Tectonic stress is not magmatic stress. Tectonic faults are not volcanic conduits. Tectonic shaking is not magma rising. These are two different mechanisms. A tectonic earthquake happens when accumulated strain on a fault plane breaks the rock. The energy releases in seconds. The seismic waves spread outward. They move buildings. They crack walls. They light cameras with sudden movement. A volcanic earthquake happens when magma is forcing its way through rock, or when gas pressure is building inside a conduit. The two have different waveforms. PHIVOLCS instruments distinguish them in seconds. The M5.4 of June 5th showed a tectonic signature. But Mayon's own earthquakes were not the question. Disgorgement, the official term for what Mayon has been doing for 152 consecutive days, the slow disgorgement of magma along the Mi-isi gully, andesite mid-viscosity, gas moderate, not as runny as Hawaii's basalt, not as explosive as Pinatubo's dacite. Mayon's magma flows. Mayon's magma builds dome. Mayon's magma collapses inside the lava column. The temperature is approximately 1,000 degrees Celsius, 1,830 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to weld pyroclastic material to itself as it falls. Hot enough to ignite the dry slopes it reaches. That is what was already happening when the ground started moving. To understand what is actually happening under the surface, look at where the earthquake came from. The Philippines sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Philippine Sea plate is converging with the Sunda plate at about 10 centimeters a year. Active faults run through Luzon. The Philippine fault zone passes east of Mayon. Magnitude 5 earthquakes near volcanoes are not rare in this region, but they are diagnostic. They are reminders. They are stress tests on a system that is already storing energy in two ways: the slow rhythm of magma rising, the sudden rhythm of rock breaking. Here is what is not making most headlines. On February 1st, 1814, Mayon erupted catastrophically. Pyroclastic flows ran down the southwest flank, the same flank that today drains into the Mi-isi gully. The town of Cagsawa was at the bottom. More than 1,200 people were killed. Most of them had taken shelter inside the Cagsawa Church. The pyroclastic flow buried the building. When the survivors returned, the only structure left standing was the belfry. The church was gone. The town was gone. The belfry was alone. Today, the Cagsawa Ruins Park is a UNESCO-recognized cultural site. The belfry is still standing. The fields around it are still farmed. The volcano above it is still active. The magnitude 5.4 earthquake of June 5th did not change any of that. The earthquake reminded us that the volcano standing 212 years above the same belfry, producing lava on the same southwest flank, is already moving. Same volcano, same flank, different century, and it is still not over. PHIVOLCS has not raised the alert. They have not declared the eruption complete. They have not announced a phase change. The lava is still flowing. The crater is still glowing. The rockfalls are still cascading down the gullies. The PDCs are still being recorded along the slopes. The question is not whether the earthquake triggered the eruption. It did not. The question is not whether Mayon is dangerous. It has been dangerous for 152 consecutive days. The question is what the people who live downwind, downhill, downstream of Mayon, the residents of Camalig, Daraga, Guinobatan, and the broader Albay Province, are reading from the same PHIVOLCS bulletin that has been telling them for 5 consecutive months that the volcano is still active. The Cagsawa Belfry is still standing on the same flank 212 years later as a warning. The volcano was already alive. The earthquake was the test. PHIVOLCS is still reading the answer. If this story is worth telling, subscribe. We cover more of these every week.